Hello, what's going on? It's Adam
and Tara
Lisicki.
We just wanted to share some big news with you. Bringing It Backwards is now a part of American Songwriters Podcast Network.
We are really excited to be part of this network along with some other amazing podcasts.
Make sure to check out americansongwriter.com/podcast.
Or click the link in the episode notes to listen to some of the best shows in music. Together with American Songwriter, we had the chance to talk to Josie Cotton.
Adam was able to talk to Josie over Zoom audio. She had a huge hit back in the 80s. Her most recent release is Invasion of the B-Girls. So the concept is singing a bunch of covers from old B movies. It's really awesome.
Make sure to check out our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Bringin It Backwards and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bringin Back Pod.
And we'd appreciate your support if you follow and subscribe to our podcasts wherever you listen to these podcasts.
We're Bringing It Backwards with Josie Cotton. Josie?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? This is Adam.
Oh, hi, Adam.
Thanks for doing this call. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I thought Tara was going to do it.
Oh, would you rather talk to Tara?
Oh, no, Tara, no. I don't know. I have no idea, how this is going on. I'm totally great talking to you, Adam.
I was kidding with you. Tara and I usually do the podcast together, but
I see.
Due to quarantine, our two children need somebody paying attention to them.
I see. Well,
I appreciate you doing this with us. We're really excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
So our podcast is about your music career and how you kind of got to where you are today.
In quarantine with my animals looking at me all the time.
Yeah, where are you at currently? You're from Dallas, right?
I'm originally from Dallas, but I've been in Los Angeles so long that I don't really feel like I'm from there anymore. Just you kind of grow out of things. But I'm just right in Silver Lake, California.
Okay.
East LA. I don't know if you know it well.
Yeah, I do actually. My brother-in-law lives up in LA. We're in San Diego, so we're just south of you.
Oh, lucky you. That's beautiful down there. My gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, we're on the pretty similar situation that you're in currently. But so tell me about what part of Dallas. I have family in Dallas. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, I grew up pretty much in Highland Park, which is a subdivision in Dallas, Turtle Creek.
Okay. I have family in Plano. I'm not sure if you're familiar with where Plano is.
Of course I know Plano, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I have family from. I've been there numerous times, but I wouldn't be able to figure out outskirts, but I've been in the area.
Yeah, well, Texas is a big area too.
Sure. When you're living in Dallas, how'd you get into music?
Well, I really started writing songs when I was super young, like 9 years old, on the piano, and
oh wow.
I loved singing in choirs, and then I started playing in bands, and then I started writing, songs to make demos with, and which led me to Los Angeles. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah. So what was the first instrument you learned how to play?
Well, it was piano.
Piano, okay. And did you take did your parents put you in lessons? What drew you to piano?
Lessons. Yeah, I was one of those little girls playing Beethoven, when I was little.
Yeah. That's awesome. And did you do recitals and stuff?
I did recitals, but mainly with the performing side of things, I kind of fell in love with the feeling when as a dancer. My father had a ballet studio, and I actually started performing in ballet companies and in productions when I was like 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was always more comfortable on stage than in my life. I don't know why.
Yeah. So your dad's a dancer then? If
he
you own the studio?
he was. There were quite a number of fathers. He was number two. He'd been a pretty famous ballet dancer in Europe. He came to Dallas for some reason to open a ballet school, and
Oh,
then
okay.
for some odd reason. So yeah, and then he married my mom, and he was very eccentric and strange. So we escaped that one and went on to six more.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you make the leap to Los Angeles? Like how old are you? Did you finish high school and stuff in Texas?
I was 20 years old, and I had demo tapes, and I had been sending them around out of Dallas, but I knew I had to be in Hollywood area to really get anything done.
Yeah.
And so I came out with my girlfriend, and we drove like kamikaze style, like all the way without stopping to Los Angeles. And it's very lucky if you can make something happen here. I was very, very lucky. The people I met and the way it happened, it was pretty unexpected. I just always thought I was going to be a songwriter. I didn't really realize I was going to be a singer. So it was all unplanned.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you already had songs written and stuff, and you knew that this was going to be what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
when you moved from Dallas.
Yeah. I just wanted people to sing, perform my songs and record my songs, and I really wasn't trying to be a pop star or anything like that. I wanted to maybe sing backup or be in a band or something, but I didn't want to be, a single name. I did not look to have that in my life. That was not my goal.
Wow. Well, were you ever in bands, like in Dallas and stuff?
Yeah.
You played in bands?
I was in a bunch of different little bands, and that was, very fun and, great experience. And I loved it. I loved the camaraderie and whatnot. It's a different thing to go out under your name than in a band. And I always wanted to go the band route because it just felt safer. And I don't know, I didn't want to like conquer the world or with my name.
Yeah, I know that makes sense because people wouldn't be associating with just Josie Cotton. It would be whatever band name it was.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Mutants or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of how I ended up out here, and I just happened to meet some amazing producers of two brothers, and who were producing the Go-Go's at the time.
Wow.
And also they're producing Fear and Levi and the Rockettes. So I
wow, that's quite a interesting blend of artists, I would think.
Yeah.
Like, Fear is like, you're talking about the punk band from the 70s, Fear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you have Fear and then the Go-Go's, which are more like a poppy type artist. Wow.
Yeah, they were amazing, talented songwriters and producers, and obviously very versatile and in that world. And so I learned a lot from them. But when I met them, they had written the song "Johnny, Are You Queer" for the Go-Go's, and that became a big song for them and in their shows, and was the last song they would play in their shows. And they had a Parting of the Ways, and the Payne brothers are these two brothers, Larson and Bobby. They took the song back, and
wow.
It wasn't a good parting. It was not a good divorce. So they tore up the contract, and then they took their song back, and so they were just making a demo of the song, and I happened to have met them in a bank of all places, the Hollywood and Vines. So that was,
You're just in the bank, and how did that happen? That's an awesome story.
Well, I was standing in the bank, and I just felt someone staring a hole in me. I mean, it was like I could feel the penetration of a stare that was really unnerving. It was awkward, and I turned around, and there was this really cute guy just smiling and staring at me, and so usually I'm really shy and super shy and meeting people, and this voice just told me, I don't know, just don't be so shy. You should just smile at people more. And I just smiled back, which I never would do. It was not my way of being in the world, but I did. And then we talked after we got out of the line, and he actually carved my name in his car with a nail and my phone number. He didn't have a pen and paper, so he actually, with this nail, like scraped it into his Corvair, which was pretty cute.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome! Where in the car did he scrape the nail? Like right out there on the paint?
Yeah, on the paint, on the fender.
Oh wow!
It won me over,
Yeah, for sure.
He said, I don't have a pen, but here's a nail. So,
so your number was forever carved in the side of his car?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Oh, that is funny. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you met them, and you obviously, he gave you a call.
Yeah. Yeah. And and then I sang on their demo, and that became the record. That is the original demo. That single that came out on Bomp originally.
Uh-huh.
So that was it got signed pretty fast.
Yeah. So was Bomp Records, was that part of their, or was that part of their label, or that wasn't their label, right? They just pitched it because they were just writing.
No, that was Greg Shaw, who was a kind of famous record guy, indie record guy who just had signed everybody. And he knew the song. The song was kind of famous in LA, and they called him up and said, "Hey, Greg, we have this song, Johnny, Are You Queer?" And he said, "I'll take it." So, yeah, that was pretty funny. He hadn't heard it or anything, so.
Was it strange taking that song, knowing that the Go-Go's had played it as their encore-ish type song? You were saying that's the last song they would play.
Well, it was a little awkward because we would run into them, and I didn't know them so well, and it was a situation where there was some really awkward moments in public places, and
Sure.
I could never just go, hey, because I loved them, and I thought they were fantastic, and the Payne brothers were so on edge when there'd be some kind of interaction, and they weren't real thrilled to see them either. So I was kind of in the middle, and I really didn't like it because I really loved the Payne brothers, and I loved the Go-Go's, and I was really put in a bad situation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just made friends last summer with Belinda Carlisle, and she was lovely, and so that felt fantastic to be able just to have a conversation with someone you're kind of connected with, in your histories and your and so that she was lovely. She was just so wonderful to me.
And that was just years late. That was, you said, recently?
Yeah, last summer in London.
Oh my gosh!
I was doing a video over there, and my stylist was with me, and she says they were friends on Instagram, and she goes, "Well, Belinda wants to meet us," and I said, "I don't think she wants to see me. I don't think that." I didn't think she it's not that I didn't want to see her, but I didn't know that would be comfortable for her.
Right. Yeah. Just the situation.
Yeah. And so she said, no, she really wants to see you. I went, okay, I was actually nervous. It was just so many years of feeling just, like something was needed to be made right, or just something needed to be finalized or brought to closure, and it really did. So that was wonderful. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad that was all able to happen. And this many years later, that's amazing.
it is amazing. She was so kind, and I explained to her what had happened a little bit, and she was just, I don't know, she was like a saint or something. She was like Mother Teresa.
That's great.
Yeah.
So obviously Johnny You're Queer became this massive, massive hit. You signed that one song to Bomp Records, and they
wanted to do a record, but the Payne brothers were very ambitious, and they knew that we could get a bigger record deal. And I always regret leaving Bomp, because I don't think it's always the best. At least back then, it's not always the best thing to go with a larger label. I would say beware.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because you signed to Elektra, right? Eventually.
Signed to Elektra once it became like a, pretty much an international hit. Elektra came along, and my manager got this deal, and then they got cold feet, and they pulled the record from the stores. They pulled it from the charts. It was about to go onto AM radio with the beep for Johnny, Are You Beep?
Oh, really?
They could approve that. Yes, all the record, the programmers and whatnot had a giant meeting, because the word was so, like, people didn't know what to do about the word, and so they said, okay, we're gonna put it on AM radio, and Elektra just backed down. They got really, really afraid of the corporate backlash, I guess, but they pretty much killed a hit song, which I always found odd, and didn't make any sense to me. And if I had stayed with Bomp, I think that they weren't afraid of that at all. They were kind of genius what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So wow. So, but they put the album out. It was on that. It was on Convertible Music, right? That was still.
Yeah, they put because we had good songs, and they just decided to let it just die on the vine, and went to a different song. I don't know. I always felt I didn't fit into like corporate people telling me what to do, and I don't know. I felt like I wanted to like break away and run out of the room in every meeting, and
yeah.
It felt like a trapped bird just thrashing against the cage, Stop! I don't know. It didn't suit me, and so after they dropped me, I went on this journey of after the second record.
You put 2 albums out with Elektra, right? From the Hip was the second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did, and then I just went on this journey. Well, I can just record whatever I want now, and I still wanted to make music and write songs and be singing. I love being in the studio, and so my boyfriend and I started a recording studio. And,
wow!
It was a business, but at the same time, I could. It was there for me. It was in the house, and I could record anytime. And so I just got to explore my creativity, and I sometimes think that was the best thing that ever happened to me, being dropped by the label, because I really was forced to, or allowed to go on this journey, this musical journey that I would never have been able to in the context of a major label.
Yeah, you could kind of go and do whatever you wanted at that point.
I really could. And we would start record labels. We were really bad at it, though. It was kind of half-hearted. I would say, okay, we have this record, now let's put it out. And they go, well, let's start our label. And you became like, let's have a real show, like Mickey Rooney or something, in one of those old movies from the 40s. But there are record people, there are professional people who do that, and that was not us. We would just start the label, and it was just kind of blah, like, okay, let's start the next record. So
Okay.
yeah, so that was we did that for a while, and then finally I realized no one had heard any of my music pretty recently, and you couldn't find it, and what you could find was illegally being sold, and it was all crazy, and some of it wasn't even there, and I wasn't keeping track of it. I signed with this publishing company, and they said, well, you have to take everything off and completely off the internet and start over, and you have to put it on your label. You have to sign with someone. And I went, oh no, I don't want to do that. That's I've been running from that. And they said, well, start your own label. And so I was like, oh God, and not again. And but we enlisted somebody who's like a record person. They've worked on so many different labels and every aspect of it, PR, and now it's a whole different ballgame now. Everything is just wonderfully, in the way a record company is supposed to function.
Sure.
How we did it, which was kind of like Powerpuff Girls, woo! I don't know. It was, but I was free. I felt very free to do that. So now it's people seem to be really happy I'm back, out in the world now.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, with that, did you do any touring when you released Convertible Music? Were you touring at all?
Yeah, I did some touring.
Okay.
And,
what was the first tour you ever did? Do you remember?
Well, I didn't do a lot of touring. I really wanted to do it and more of it. Elektra would not give tour support for some reason, and they canceled.
That's interesting for being like in the 80s when
I know
it was harder to get your name out there.
I know, and then they canceled my video shoot. They were terrified of Johnny Are You Queer. They really didn't know what thing they had hatched, and involved. I think they were embarrassed and afraid, and they didn't. And when the CEO changes and your A&R changes at a label, nobody wants to take responsibility. They can't take credit because they didn't sign it, and so it's really tough when you're on your third CEO and you're like the bastard child that no one knows how it got in the door.
Right.
Like that.
So that first album you put out yourself was "Frightened by Nightingales."
That was the first one, yes.
And it looks like that album came out, like 11 years after From the Hip?
Yeah.
So what like between the two releases, were you just writing and trying to figure out the label situation?
Well, I did another. That's supposed to be the third record on Elektra. I did, which we just put out in 2019 called So and that was supposed to be the third record, and I didn't give it to them. I was doing it on my own, and they, there was interest, and I really panicked. I just didn't want to go back in that circus of, I don't know, just being controlled by others. It's a thing. I'm in therapy. I don't know. but
so that record, Everything Is those songs on there are the actual recording from the 80s? Yes.
Wow. We and the only way we were able to this came to light really was the publishing company I signed with, Red Queen, and they said, people from this TV show, have you ever heard of Stranger Things? I said, of course, I love that show. And they said, well, they want music from the mid 80s that records that never got released. And I went, okay, I think I have that, but I didn't know where they were. All these tapes, these gigantic 2-inch tapes. I mean, there were like so many of them, and I mean, there had been so many natural disasters. The places I'd been, the earthquakes and landslides and floods and And so they ended up they were in the rafters that leave, of this studio, and then someone's garage, and we mixed it, and that was what that record was from.
Wow.
That time. Yeah, it was strange to hear stuff you'd done that long ago, and to hear it kind of come to life. It was eerie. It felt good though. It's like finding like a lost dog that you lost years ago, and it comes home, and you're just like, oh, I remember you.
Yeah, that must have been really quite interesting listening to that album all the way through.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like when I heard the song I did with Brian Setzer, what was that song? It was the Beatles song, Night Before.
Oh, the Night Before, yeah.
Yeah, and because I was still uncertain. We were listening to go, I don't know if I want to put this there. It reminds me of these bad memories of Electra, blah blah blah. And then we're listening, and then I heard that song, and I went, oh my God, we have to put this out. This is good. This is really good. I've never sang so good before or since, I think, is on this record. But and then one song I heard, it actually made me really emotional because I didn't think anyone would ever hear it, and it was such a heartfelt song for me when I wrote Boulevard. And it just seemed like this was something I needed to finish and put it out in the world, and just let it be what it wanted to be. And it's been wonderful. It's like for the fans, my fans from the '80s, they are like in heaven because they wondered what happened to me. I mean, I disappeared, off the face of the earth, and. But they get to relive the '80s, like.
Oh yeah, they're probably loving that. That's amazing.
That they're not sick to death of because they've listened to it so much. So it's like for them going back into happy memories for them, to a time not necessarily happy for me, but happy for other people, and that's been wonderful to see them, the reactions.
Yeah, and I mean, you have some great covers on that. I mean, it's crazy that those are the song choices from back, in the '80s that you have. I mean, covering a Ramones song and a Cat Stevens song, they're kind of like you've got, a lot of different genres mixing in there.
Well, the Ramones song is not on there.
Oh, it's not?
No, that was a separate single I just put out like last year in Italy.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm looking at a different. Must be looking at the wrong track listing.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
this is just something they put on. Yeah, here, but yeah. So the Sheena's a punk rocker. That was, you recorded that later.
I recorded that much later, and it just came out like last year, and with another song of mine that I wrote, and we're just like putting out product, and stuff. We had recorded it about 10 years ago, and my manager said, well, they want to do a single in Italy. Do you have anything? And we had this sitting around. We'd never finished it, and I said, okay, well, we can do this fast. And so that was it. It was, it's slightly newer than from the 80s, but it was like, it was still older, but it sounded current because the Ramones are forever, right?
Yeah, timeless, obviously. Yeah. That's cool. What made you decide on that Ramones cover? Do you remember?
Well, yeah, because originally I sang that song. The Donita Sparks from L7 was doing a record where all different rock artists sang on this. They got to pick a Ramones song, and it was for St. Jude's Hospital. It was like a charity thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was so cool. But she already had the tracks done, and so I sang it. It was in the wrong key, and it always bummed me out so much when I would hear it, because it was like, God, it was done, it was done for a guy, and so I said, Paul, someday we're going to have to record this in the right key because it's so much better. But we did start playing it live, and it was just such a great song to sing, live, and we recorded it, and then just this opportunity came around, so we just threw it out into Italy, the power pop world.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Johnny, Are You Queer has been, has been in the Jackass movie and Valley Girl. Like, tell me about like those connections, and was that cool? Like being, in Valley Girl, being in the movie and stuff.
Well, after when the Valley Girl, when they asked me to contribute some songs in Valley Girl, Johnny had kind of come and gone. I mean, it was, I had been banned in Amsterdam, and I'd been attacked by the religious right. I mean, it was
Whoa.
like a battle. I was the enemy of extreme right wing, and most people didn't understand. There was a big controversy about it, but it was like it did scare up my record company, and so I was I realized later that she had taken a big risk putting me in that movie and that song and stuff. So that was on the down low at that point. Johnny, Are You Queer? But that became a way for a lot of people to hear it who had never heard it, because it was never allowed on the radio, and they didn't get records in the record stores. It was a major hit, but no one could buy it, and you couldn't get it on the radio. It was like crazy. How did that even happen? But like, what happened here? It's like an atom bomb. But so it found an audience of people who a lot of people had heard it, but most of them had not. So it was just a venue, a vehicle, to get my name out there, I guess, for my managers and whatnot. But I'm so shocked that movie is still so loved. It's kind of amazing how it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And now there's a musical, like a modern musical of it.
Oh, is there really? I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah, because it was back with Nicolas Cage was a young actor, and
that's when he was so cute. I saw the photo of the for the musical, and it's like everyone has on pastel pink and blue, and it's very weird, and it was just, I don't know how they're going to recreate it. And the world's so different. It seems like it was so innocent back then. It just seems like we were like little kittens playing in with some yarn, and now it's like the world is, I say, well, are they going to be able to get some crack whores in there? And is there going to be enough teen suicide and school shootings? I mean, how are they?
Right.
How are they going to make this, in the real world now? Like, I don't know.
Right. I know. What a different time.
Different time. And and if they're going to do it exactly like a nostalgia thing, I mean, I guess it could work. It might be like funny though. It might be like it's so the problem seems so minuscule now. Like, he doesn't fit in the right crowd. Like, ooh,
right.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah. It's just so much more intense now. I don't know. I'll be interested to see it. They keep tagging me. I should say nice things. I hope it's fantastic.
Yeah, because it's loosely based on what, like Romeo and Juliet, right? The original one. Similar.
I guess it's kind of similar, yeah. If they don't commit suicide, that they would have to do that now.
They'd have to add that into the 2020 version of it.
Right. And then someone comes in and shoots the whole school up, and
yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's a different world, right?
Yeah,
As we
totally
sit
is.
in quarantine.
So you just released, or last year you or released, I guess, for the first time, what was the album that was going to be out on Elektra?
Yeah, everything. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so, what do you have going on right now? Do you have other stuff in the works? Are you going to be putting out more stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a bunch of records that I put out in my pretend record labels. But yeah, we're re-releasing everything right now. We're starting off with this record I did in my studio. Just this idea I had to do a record of theme songs from B movies from the 60s and 70s, and
That's cool.
yeah, and
tell me about that. That's awesome.
yeah. So that was a really labor of love. I just have always loved, since I was a little girl, just science fiction movies and just weird, like kind of horror, but not too bloody kind of thing. It's just always been my escape from the world. And I just always was just so at home in the other worlds, and as opposed to this one. And so, I kept watching it, and then someone introduced me to the exploitation movies when I became an adult, like Russ Myers and this type of thing, and John Waters, and so I was watching a movie I'd seen a million times, three-headed Hydra, that was basically Mothra has to save the world and fight all these different monsters, and there's this beautiful song in it, and it's a crazy movie, and I just realized that I really wanted to do this whole record of weird songs from these weird movies that I had loved so much, and it just seemed like the best thing I had ever heard in my life. And it turns out no one had ever done it before. I was shocked.
It's such a creative idea.
And we had to really hunt for all these songs because they were so obscure, and some of the people were in trailer parks in the South, and no one would admit to writing some of these songs. It was
trying to find the rights and stuff.
Yes,
wow.
Yes, and we had to buy the roar of Godzilla, because there's one song that's was from a Godzilla movie, Goodbye Godzilla, and so we had to be talking to Japan and trailer parks, and it was all great. And Russ Myers, threatened to sue me, and so did John Waters, and it was all nuts.
Oh my gosh!
And so I was so shocked that no one had done it. Then we became trying to hurry, because I thought the ideas are in the air. If you come up with something, that it's going to be, it's like this virus. It's going to be coming down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
So, but it turned out I took it to Rhino Records, because I had done it, in the 90s, and they said it was too quirky. And at the time, Rhino was the quirkiest label in the world. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
It's too quirky for Rhino Records. And so it just sat in my garage for a while. And then I ended up putting it out myself. And but no one heard it because, such as it was, you couldn't even find it. It was you'd have to pay just a huge amount of money in Japan to find, and I don't even know how people ever knew about it. Really, it never got streamed. I did do a really cute video for it, for the She Devils on Wheels movie. Herschel Gordon Lewis. It's a very famous, badass movie, and from the 1960s, and this song called "Get Off the Road," and I did a video for that. But
cool.
But it was a limited, amount of people, and so when we realized we were going to re-release my whole catalog, we decided to start with this one. And I had one song it was a bonus track that it was not on the original Female Trouble, so that's a big bonus, for people who love that movie and whatnot. And so people are loving it.
That's so cool. So you just spent a bunch of time watching old B movies to try to figure out which songs you wanted to cover?
Yes. I mean, I had a video store in a town, a very famous one. They're no longer around, but called Mondo Video. And I would go in there and just, give me a really bad movie. Like, give me something, but maybe that has a cool song, something really weird and goofy and like maybe scary, but funny, all this stuff. And he kind of kept me, he gave me some great leads. And it's harder now because there's so many of them. I was starting to do a volume 2, and it's like, my God, how many of these do I have to watch? There's so many. Like, and then you can watch a whole movie and there's no song. Like, God, all of that, like an hour and a half of like, oh no, man. Some of them are unwatchable. I mean, but even so, I like them. I just like them, even when they're bad. But so that's happening, and we were gonna do another video, but then this whole thing just went down with the
the COVID.
Right as we were going to shoot, we had it all set up and everything.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
well, that's so cool. How many movies, like how many songs were you able to kind of find that you wanted to do and then have to narrow it down? Were there a few? I would say there's probably 20 songs, but the more commonly was to find like an incredible movie that had no theme song. That was like, oh my God, there's no theme song. This would be perfect. And that happened. So then I thought I should do a record and write theme songs for movies that I love, B movies that didn't have a theme song, and do a whole record like that. So that would be cool. So that's the next one, the next record, the follow-up.
Yeah, that's going to be it.
That's awesome. I love that idea. Well, Josie, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. I really appreciate it.
It was so fun, Adam. I really like talking with you.
Yeah, this is great. I have to admit, though, the first time I did hear Johnny, Are You Queer was because I heard a cover of it. There's a band called Screeching Weasel, and they did a cover.
I just sang on their new record. I did a duet with Ben.
Did you? Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of Screeching Weasel, and they do a lot of different covers and stuff. And I had that album, How to Make Enemies and Irritate People, and that song was on it. I didn't really even realize it was a cover until years later, but that's the first time I ever heard the song. And that's
that was great.
That's awesome. I didn't know. So you're friends with Ben and those guys enough to like do stuff on their record? Well,
yeah. I mean, I didn't know them before, and it just like that. Sometimes social media is kind of amazing. Connecting with people. I liked somebody mentioned the Screeching Weasel. I said I love that version of the song, and he happened to read it and reached out to me on Instagram and said, Josie, we're such big fans and blah blah blah, and love your stuff. And then a couple of months later, he said, "Do you want to sing on our new record?" I said, "Fuck yeah, I want to sing." Yeah. And so they sent me the tracks, and so I sang on that. And then he's also singing on this. I have this single coming out that's it's kind of like We Are the World, but it's about the virus. It's crazy. It's going to be in Rolling Stone premiering it, and he's one of the singers on it, and the guy from the Red Cross, and me and the girl from the Runaways, and it's like it's kind of a cool thing. It's called Flatten the Curve, so look out for that.
That's cool. That's really cool. I'm super excited about that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Okay, Adam.
Well, Josie, I have one more question for you. If you have a second.
Sure.
I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
For aspiring artists, I mean, for me, the most critical thing was finding my own voice. Finding, even if you're not a singer, you have to find your voice, and by listening to other artists as a singer, you try and imitate as many people as you can and learn their techniques, and then you find your own. And I'm speaking as a singer, and I would say just never give up on yourself is the biggest advice I could give anyone in this world.